teams. Well, I've got to say, New South Wales have been criticised for the team they've picked. Queensland and Billy, well, I'm never going to criticise Billy because he knows more about the game than all of us, and especially about coaching and what players he wants wearing that maroon jersey in Game 1. Some interesting selections, but I think some exciting selections as well. Welcome to Sports Day. Scotty Sattler here. Daddy Vass Cohen's going to join us. Rat's got the night off. He's going to be in a little bit later on to cover across some other Origin discussions around the Origin series, and we'll have that on the show tomorrow. Thank you to our partners, Kia EV9, the 2024 Drive Car of the Year, and also Nutrient Ag Solutions, going further for Aussie farmers. Welcome to the show, and we're going to get all the selection reactions just from myself, and we'll get Daddy Vass, who's a mad Queensland supporter as well. Our Suncorp talkback line, where a couple of our listeners have thrown in a couple of questions around Queensland Origin side. There's one there about the New South Origin side as well and how that will work. And that's some interesting takes on how Billy is going to use his bench. But I think I like what he's done. Especially with one of his selections, which New South Wales hasn't done. So stick around for that. And also Chris Nelson will join us for what was another massive weekend of the Winter Racing Carnival for Racing Queensland. The Doomben Cup was raced on Saturday as well. An outsider won that. So let's hear from him very soon. But before we do that, look out for the sunrise. Enjoy local service. Let's look at the Origin sides and what are you liking or lumping from the Origin selections and in both teams. Now, the Maroons have selected a side which I think is pretty self-explanatory. I think the areas that Billy Slater was going to really struggle with was going to be the wingers. He had Coates, Taulagi, and also Selwyn Cobbo. So if you haven't heard the team already, you've been working all day, haven't listened to any part of the news or any shows, whatever it may be, Reece Walsh at fullback, Xavier Coates and Mary Taulagi on the wings, Valentine Holmes, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow on the centres, Tommy Dearden. I think he was an obvious choice for what he did 2 years ago in Game 3. And Daly Cherry Evans is the skipper. Now, the forward pack is Cotter, Hunt and Collins in the front row. Jaden Sewer beats David Fifita for the starting position. Jeremiah Nene is in the second row as well. Self-explanatory for him, I should say. And Paddy Carrigan, jersey number 13. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Harry Grant is self-explanatory. Mo Fotuaika, been playing good enough because we've got a lot of front rows who are out injured at the moment. Jermaine Hopgood, the boy from Harvey Bay, the first kid from Harvey Bay to represent Harvey Bay in the NRL and now playing his Origin debut in jersey number 16. He's a great story, Jermaine Hopgood. He's been playing very well for the Parramatta Eels. And Selwyn Cobbo, jersey number 17. That's interesting because I think it was going to be out of Cobbo and Murray Taulagi for that wing position. And Cobbo's been playing good enough to be in the starting side. But I like what Billy's done here. I like that in the world of HIAs and not knowing if we're going to lose a player at any stage for 10, 15 minutes to go through the HIA protocol, you've now got Selwyn Cobbo there that can play fullback, wing, centre. And we interviewed Johnny Cartwright, who's the assistant coach at the Brisbane Broncos. He said even if you had to play Selwyn Cobbo in the second row at a pinch, he's that smart. His rugby league intellect is that good that he would handle it on his ear. So I like what they've done there. And, of course, Reece Walsh. He's got a bit of a niggling knee injury, but just to probably cover Reece Walsh as well. But there's no concerns with Reece Walsh. His first 2 touches in the game against the Titans, he lit Suncorp Stadium up. So there'll be no concerns there. But I like what he's done with Selwyn Cobbo and an outside back because New South Wales didn't go down that road. Now, Jaden Sewer being recalled, I think it's the right decision. Leaving out Fifita is an interesting one. I thought at worst he probably might have been on the bench because I thought his form's been outstanding this year. Reading a story today about the non-selection of Fifita, Billy Slater rang David and said, your form last year and your standards were outstanding. This year I just haven't seen them, but you're not far away. David Fifita accepted that and also sent a text back to Billy for more reports, supporting the side, supporting the selection, and promised Billy that he's going to make it really difficult for him to leave him out for Game 2 or Game 3. So, like I said, I'm never going to question Billy Slater. He knows the game. He is meticulous when it comes to his research about all the players that are available. Now, player 18 is Felice Kafusi. Many thought a couple of years Felice's Origin career was finished. Young Brendan Piakura, who is an outstanding back row and will play many Origins for Queensland, jersey number 19. And a man that has been probably unlucky to miss out is Ezra Mam, number 20. And Tommy Dearden deserves that position ahead of him. So a very strong Queensland side for Origin 1, which is being played in Sydney. Now let's look at New South Wales for what it's worth. 6 debutants. I actually don't mind that. They had to make a change in New South Wales. Did they make the right changes? So Dylan Edwards, Joseph Suaalii, Zach Lomax, Spencer Leniu, Cameron McGuinness, all in the 17. Mitch Barnett, who's in the squad of 19 to 20. So their side, Dylan Edwards, fullback, no James Tedesco. I'm glad as a Queenslander that Tedesco's not playing. Happy for Dylan Edwards that he's being rewarded for great form over the last few years. Brian To'o, well, that's an easy selection. Biggest meter eater in the history of the game. Zach Lomax on the wing. I'm happy as a Queenslander that Zach Lomax has been picked. I thought he played his way out of a team on Thursday night. Stephen Crichton, he's always going to be there. Joseph Suaalii in the centres. Now, that's an interesting one. I've got to say, I think there's a couple of people that would feel very unlucky that they weren't picked. But Joseph Suaalii in the centres, I'm glad as a Queenslander that he's playing in the centres, even though he's going to be a handful. Now, many are saying, why would you pick him because he's going to rugby? As a lover of the game, I think it's smart that they picked Joseph Suaalii. One, he's good enough to play. But I think also, secondly, prove to this kid that when he goes to rugby, this is what he's missing out on, state of origin. So when he leaves rugby league to go to rugby union and he says, God, I wish I was back there playing in state of origin again. So I think it's a nice little parting message if he plays the series before he leaves the game. Jerome Luai in number 6, the way he's been playing, doesn't surprise me. Nicho Hynes, number 7. Now, started the game off against Penrith. He got absolutely owned by Jerome Luai, but kicked out on the full twice, went off the field with a HIA, didn't come back on because of a calf injury. So he's going in with an injury cloud, won't be able to train 100% from day one, and he's never played this position at Origin level before. So Michael Maguire is putting his faith in a guy that hasn't played at this level with the number 7 jersey where he's got to own the team, and he won't be able to have a combination with Jerome for a few days to see how his calf muscle is. I'd be really surprised, actually, if he trains much at all in the first 4 or 5 days. This is what I'm excited about. Jake Trbojevic has been named skipper in jersey number 8. Reece Robson beats Api Koroisau. I think that's the right one as well. I've got some stats around that. For many who think, why didn't Api get picked? Api in Origin 1 last year in Adelaide missed 5 tackles. And this year, through 12 rounds, he misses an average of 6 tackles a game. Reece Robson misses an average of 2 and plays more minutes. And last week he did 50 tackles, Reece Robson, missed 0 tackles. Api Koroisau missed 7 tackles last week against the Cowboys. So many who thought Api won that battle against Reece Robson, I think, probably are looking at it from an attacking point of view, but that's not what Origin's about. Payne Haas, obvious choice at front row. Liam Martin, Angus Crichton, Cam McGuinness, that I think makes sense as well in the back row. Isaiah Yeo coming off the bench like he did in Game 3 last year, which I think worked. Hamali Olakawatu makes his debut as well, been great for Manly. Spencer Leniu is an interesting one. I thought Mitch Barnett might have got picked. I think Spencer Leniu could be a liability, and Queensland could really work him over when he comes on the field. And Hudson Young, who I think is built for Origin, I've got to say. And jersey 18 is Matty Burton. So the interesting one about the New South Wales side is they've got no one to cover the outside backs in case of a HIA or an injury, but most importantly a HIA. So maybe Angus Crichton would possibly play in the centres if they had to. They got themselves into this situation previously when Damien Cook had to play in the centres as well. So it was ludicrous. So Michael Maguire, who I absolutely love and I'm a huge fan of, I think the selectors have probably made a couple of wrong decisions there, but as a Queensland side, we don't really care because I think the Queensland side is cherry ripe, ready to go. Now, what I do find interesting is that New South Wales fans, as soon as the teams came out, they just turned on some of the selections straight away, whereas the Queensland fans, well, a lot of the time they think, okay, you know what, that's the team that's being picked. In Billy, we have faith, and let's just get on with it. So it's interesting selections, most notably for the New South Wales side. So tell us what you think, 0457 736 736. Have you got an opinion? If you're a New South Wales fan living in Queensland, love to hear your opinion as well.
your thoughts. No David Fifita.
Yeah, morning, Benny. Yeah, what a morning it is, obviously, with the New South Wales side named yesterday. And as you mentioned, still to be rubber stamped, that Queensland side, but it is how we believe. It's just been dropped, as you said. And if I go back a couple of weeks when we first announced my team, there's only one change to that one. I had, obviously, the big talking point, David Fifita in my team. And he has not made it. He has not made the team. Selwyn Cobbo gone back into jersey number 17 in replacement there of Murray Taulagi. So a big call because I thought David, not only yesterday against the Broncos, who was absolutely sensational, best player on the park, I thought over, the opening sort of 10 rounds, I don't think he's done that bad of a job not to find himself, at least in the 17. However, Billy Slater and the selectors feel as though that the team that they picked, and it's a strong one, don't get me wrong, absolutely strong, right across the park, can certainly get the job done. There's a couple of players there that you sort of go, oh, okay, well, their form, maybe, and I think combinations have got a couple of players into the team now. When you look at Murray Taulagi, you'd probably sort of raise your eyebrows and think, well, yeah, okay, maybe. Maybe Cobbo could have found himself on the wing and Taulagi not into the team, but you would think the combinations between Taulagi, Val Holmes and also Tom Dearden has certainly rubber-stamped that left side. So a very strong team from the Queenslanders. And I know what you're going to ask me. How do you get Selwyn Cobbo into the game if he's in jersey number 17? Well, I'm still not convinced yet 100% that Reece Walsh is fully fit. So I've got no doubt that Cobbo is there as insurance for potentially Reece Walsh. He's insurance for anyone in the back line. He can play centre, wing, fullback, and at a pinch if you need to him and just tell Cobbo to get in there and truck it up. He could certainly do that. I think to answer your next question before you haven't even answered it, well, he may sit on the bench all game. No, he won't. Billy's not picking your team to not play players. You can't do that in State of Origin. It's just too difficult. The pace of the game is too fast. There will be an avenue that they'll be able to find Selwyn Cobbo to get into that game. There's no two ways about that. But he obviously covers a fair bit of positions, from wing, centre, and also fullback. So a strategic pick to put Cobbo in jersey number 17, but I don't dislike it.
You don't dislike it. All right. 13 13 55 0467 736 736. Corey Parker, 19 origins for Queensland. He doesn't dislike the fact that Selwyn Cobbo's on the bench and David Fifita. Your thoughts? Where there are 5 million selectors for this Queensland Origin team. Billy's
4.2.
That's more than 5 million Queenslanders.
No, there's not.
Yeah, no, there is.
Is there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, geez, we've been
busy.
busy.
We have been busy, and it is climbing. So your thoughts? 13 13 55 0467 736. Are you okay with David Fifita not being there? Looking on NRL.com yesterday, Corey, the stats are David Fifita, 20 runs, 230 metres. 2 try assists, 71 post-contact metres. He had a barnstorming game against the Broncos. So a pack that is littered with representative players, he doesn't get a start. That's one game. That's his last game. Are you happy that David Fifita is not there? 13 13 55 0467 736 736. Corey, I do want to play a bit of Billy Slater from last week when we had him on the program. And it was cryptic at best when I asked him about positions, about players, about getting in there. And he had this to say.
It's the great thing about our game, Ben. There are more than one ways to play it. There are more than one way to be successful in the game and get an advantage. I even think about positions and go, well, why do we have all these positions? Can we change a position? Like there's so many different ways to think about the game, which is fantastic. It means that you can try and evolve the game. You might go backwards a little bit, or you might actually go forward and create something that no one's even thought of.
Have you been talking to Matty Rogers? Have you been talking to Matty Rogers? Matty Rogers threw out Kalen Ponga at lock about 2 months ago before KP got injured. But is that the type of thing you're talking about?
He's a pretty smart man, Matt Rogers, isn't he? Who knows? Yeah.
He listens. Don't tell him
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. Right there, I think Billy Slater was trying to tell us Selwyn Cobbo is going to be his number 17 on the bench that could play and pop up anywhere.
Well, as I said there before, I mean, his insurance for the whole back line, and at a pinch, he could just play in the middle. He's big enough. Like, he's 105 kilos and 6'2". Like, he is one hell of an athlete, so he can certainly fill that role. Now, to answer the question about, playing Callum Ponga at lock, etc., there's no need to do that. Yes, you could do it if you needed to, but there's no need to do it with the team that they've got at the moment. The fact that Cobbo is playing 17, as I touched on before, Billy's got a role for him to play. He's not just there making up the numbers. Don't get me wrong. He'll be playing his part within the game, within the team, and I expect that. Billy won't probably elaborate on that, but he's definitely insurance for the back line.
There is a suggestion that he may have been spooked last year by what happened to New South Wales. Remember, they lost Turbo really early, and they didn't have an outside back to cover, and they haven't got one to cover. And we'll go through New South Wales very shortly.
Well, that's the other thing, Ben. If you have a look at the progression of what we've seen throughout the season, from game to game, week to week, in the NRL season, it's very rare that a game goes by that an outside back doesn't go down with either a soft tissue injury, a HIA, or the like. So in the modern game, particularly the big ones, you do need some insurance. You do need some players that can fill those roles, players that can fill any position. And, at this point in time, if you look at the team, Ben Hunt obviously goes into the 9, but he's a halfback for his club, so he can fill in the halves if that's at a pinch. Harry Grant's on the bench, who can go into 9, and Ben Hunt could go to the halves. And then you've got Cobbo, who can obviously fill any backline role he needs to. So all bases are covered. If everything goes pear-shaped, and you sort of got to look at it from that perspective, if things go pear-shaped in the opening minute, how do we counteract it? Well, we've got some players that can do that.
1355 0467 736 736. The Alltel open line is there for you. It's what we do at this time of year. It is a Queensland pastime. Dissecting now. We were picking State of Origin teams for the last month and a half. Now we have one, and we have a look and we dissect it, and we should celebrate who is there, Corey. Jermaine Hobgood.
Yes.
He is the new face to the team, having not played State of Origin in the past. What do you like about this selection?
Oh, I just love the fact that he's had consistency over a long period of time. I mean, everyone probably forgets where Jermaine Hopgood started. He was at the Penrith Panthers, wasn't getting the start, obviously behind Isaiah Yeo. So he took a chance in going across to the Parramatta Eels, and he's got great skill. He's got a great offload. He's got an appetite for hard work, and he's built his game around that over a long period of time. Consistency, big minutes, does it week in and week out for the Parramatta Eels. So as I touched on it, over a month ago, I had him in my side, and without a shadow of a doubt, I will not be one bit concerned about Jermaine Hopgood going in the Origin arena, because he displays those qualities on a daily basis for the Parramatta Eels. So a huge reward for somebody who's worked extremely hard and consistent over a couple of years.
A fantastic story in a way that was born out of adversity and tragedy.
Yep.
We know that Jermaine lost his dad really, really young. He was about 7 years of age. In fact, it was the first day that Jermaine Hobgood had played rugby league. He was 7 years of age, and his dad then on that same day went to fill in for the Reggies, the reserves in Harvey Bay for the Seagulls, and sadly after that passed away from a heart attack. So all of a sudden, Jermaine Hobgood's mum is a single mum of 4, having to raise a family of 4 kids by herself. The community rallied around them. She did it tough. She speaks about how I could sort of drop my head and kick stones, but I just got to get on with it. I have to get on with it. And that's something that Jermaine, a young Jermaine, has taken with him his entire career and has got on with the job and just done it.
Yeah, you're spot on. And he's had some difficult periods through his life, as everyone has, but to grow up without a father, and as you mentioned, mum being a single mum of 4, you probably get thrust into growing up a lot faster than you should.
Yeah.
And he's he's got on with life. He's got on with the job. He's worked extremely hard at his craft, and he's been rewarded with a maroon jersey, as I touched on. When I saw Jermaine Hopgood's name come up, I was extremely excited because, at different stages in your life, you don't get rewards, and you think you should. But this one is certainly a reward, and he'll be. It'll be a real special moment for him and his family, and I'm sure he'll pay tribute to his late father.
13 13 55 0467 736 736.